how serious is our country gonna take domestic white extremism?
Hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
Any chance I could get you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know this is like the sacredest place.
I know. Hey.
Is there a point with this variant that you think there's going to be new restrictions, whether advice that says double mask?
Hey, double mask, dude. That's coming to you this summer as the left begs nanny government, bureaucratic Fauci and his legions to tell them what to do. Please tell us what to do this summer. Please give us some more restrictions. Please tell us what to do. Can we have a double mask? Can we have one more mask? How about 3, please? Oh my God, the world has gone nuts. I can't believe it. If you haven't seen this video, we'll have it in the show notes of the guy with the elk dressed like an elk walking into the well of the Senate like he's Spicoli showing up for class in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Hey, Mr. Hond. I can't believe that. I don't know necessarily. I know that we have over 3 million, National Guard troops in D.C. or whatever it is right now. I don't know that we need so many for him. He is essentially on the hunt for a Mountain Dew, probably, I would say, and maybe some ring-dings.
Well, he only eats organic, though. Did you see the story?
He sure does.
In prison, he hasn't eaten anything while he's been there because they wouldn't serve him all organic
Yes,
food.
that is Jake Angeli, or Jacob something
Chansley.
But he goes by Jake Angeli, and, I'm not going to dead name him, Alice. If he wants to be Jake Angeli, the half Viking, half elk.
The QAnon shaman.
Who is absolutely, I'm going to suggest a fan of marijuana. I'm going to suggest it. This video just came out today. Have you seen this before now?
No, I saw the one where they're praying.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. This video, he comes just bombing through the door, the open door. There's nobody in front of walks into the well of the Senate. You heard the audio. There's one guy who's against who's leaning against the rostrum, the guy who got shot in the face with something. Mm-hmm. And apparently there's the guy filming, and there's one security guy who's speaking in, we say with kids, speaking in his indoor voice to them, asking them not to destroy the Senate because it's very sacred. And they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. We kept the idiots away for you. This is the weirdest thing. It's as if like it was a house party to some of these people. And he's like, dude, can you guys, this is my mom's Fabergé egg. Could you make sure you don't destroy it? It's like, no problem, dude. We're just here to have a good time.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a range of things going on in the Capitol. I mean, there's the people breaking into the glass door into gunfire towards the congressman. There's the people who are just like partying it up in the Senate. There's some left-wing activists trying to incite Trump people to do worse things. There's like actual wannabe militants who live in their mom's basement. There's like all kinds of stuff happening.
Right. And it goes from brutal murderers to like total just role-playing people who are just having fun. And I think that woman in the window might have been one of those too. I mean, she's like, why do you understand? So he has a gun pointed at me. That's fine. In the game, I still get to go through the window, and I get to go into the Senate. And she's like, bang! It's like, wow, that was interesting. I didn't remember us doing that in the run-through. The game should be, I get to go in the Senate and have fun.
Well, I sent you, I don't know if you grabbed it because this was a while ago now because the news moves kind of quickly here, but did you get Jenna Ryan, who plugs her realtor business while storming the Capitol? She says, like, live or die, it doesn't matter. This is 1776, baby. And now you know who to choose for your realtor, Jenna Ryan Realty.
Is that there? I'll find that.
Yeah,
if it's there.
It's a YouTube link that I sent you there.
Oh, my goodness.
So so there's a lot of things going on here. There's like every type of nut that you could find. I mean, I assume there were a lot of totally normal people at the actual protest too. I mean, like I've known some people, I would never out them, who actually went to the protest and just, stood around outside and waved a flag and listened to Trump's speech and then went home to their hotel. So there were like a lot of things going on. There was quite a diverse group of people trying to stop the steal or whatever they thought they were doing. But, on the one hand, I feel bad for people who get caught up in this stuff and like go too far, who apparently just don't realize that you're not supposed to run in through the broken windows of the Senate. And
Well, but I'm not going to grab the Jen Ryan thing because she swears in it, and I don't want to clean it up post production, whatever. Yeah, but I understand the guy with the antlers he's a dumb, and he's high, and I think he's the kind of guy, he joins everything. He probably goes to Burning Man. He probably goes to, like, Proud Boys stuff. He probably goes to Antifa stuff. He mostly just wants to have fun at them. That's what I'm thinking. And I understand that there are some psychotics who are murderous, and that's certainly disturbing.
Yeah, I still think they haven't caught the pipe bomb.
I don't get how, first of all, we have friends who live around here who went down to Washington.
Right.
And they asked us, they said, hey, are you guys going, by the way, want to know? And you and I were like, what the frick? What do we go to Washington for? Are they giving away money? Because
what's happening there?
What do you expect to do? For a Trump rally? For what? If the election's over. Like, we're going to Washington. I don't understand how people can really assume that there's still an election in play here.
But people really thought that, though.
Yeah, you think?
I mean, I think there's still some people who think that Trump's going to overthrow things on January 20th. I mean, I see this stuff on Twitter where people are like,
yes.
Oh, yeah, see all the National Guard troops in D.C.? You really think this is about stopping Trump supporters? If you don't think the Insurrection Act's already been invoked, then
Jesus.
Joke's on you. So, like, and then obviously Michael Lindell was at the White House with all his notes from his secret attorney friend who he couldn't name, who wanted Trump to fire his whole White House legal counsel.
And of course, they're calling it the pillow coup because of my pillow. And of course, it can't be a coup unless you've got a faction of the government overthrowing the person in power.
Right. Yeah, but my pillow guy can't on his own overthrow the government. And
but also, just by definition, definitions don't matter anymore, so it doesn't matter. But still, it's crazy. And then you've got government. But I don't understand that how people actually think that something's going. I understand Trump told them that, but the left says all the time Trump's a liar, and he is a smack talker right up there with the best I've ever dealt with in my when I was working as a concierge. He is absolutely a smack talking liar. Did they not think that he was ever smack talking? Is that possible?
I don't know.
It's going to be the best and greatest you've ever seen. All that stuff. They never thought that he's being tongue in cheek. I don't get it. It's craziness to think that. And the other hand,
but people. I mean, and I suppose. I mean, now I think that people have cut back a little bit, like the media people have cut back and have sort of, like, they've stopped outright saying that there's a chance now, because there were absolutely conservative media people who were up until the 6th saying that, like, oh, yeah, Mike Pence can totally do this. He can throw out the Pennsylvania votes or whatever. And, there's 2 slates of electors from Arizona.
Which is crazy. That means those are people who were broken by the election, just like in 2016.
Well, right. Sure, but there were people saying that up until the 6th.
Yeah, but
so I don't necessarily blame people who
aren't.
I blame
people who hear Lou Dobbs saying that Pence is going to make Trump president for another 4 years, who then say, oh, wow, it's going to happen. Lou Dobbs said it. What is wrong with people? If you use these street smarts in your everyday life, you'd get run over trying to get to Starbucks in the morning. You'd never get through the day if you let down your guard as much as you let it down to say, oh, yeah, okay, Trump's going to win still. Because, the Dominion voting Guatemala machines, absolutely, yes, Trump's going to win. I feel bad for you people who think he's going to lose. I don't get that. At the same time, my takeaway from this, and thank you to John, my friend, for giving me this thing. My takeaway from this.
Hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are f***ing patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
Yes. You good, sir? Do you need medical attention?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
First of all,
is that the Q shaman asking if he needs medical
attention?
No,
that's the security. That's the cop asking the guy who got shot in the face if he needs medical attention. This is why this is such. Am I on LSD? Maybe that's what it is. It's like,
it's a weird coup.
As a matter of fact, he does need medical attention. Can we at least do that right? Do you need medical attention? Yes. All right. Wait 1 moment. Let me get some first aid here to help you. No, we can't even do this right. You can't get shot in the face with a rubber bullet, need medical attention, get offered it, and accept it normally anymore. Everything's going to be so freaking skewed.
I do have to say that the Trump people did make the like Antifa people and everything kind of look like wimps about the tear gas and the rubber bullets, because they got tear gas and rubber bulleted all over the place. I mean, they also tear gassed the cops back, which is frowned upon, but like the way that Antifa and the Black Lives Matter people have been acting about getting tear gas, you would think they were in Tiananmen Square like every week that they were out there, and they had the governments like banning tear gas, and the Trump people are like, oh yeah, tear gas us, we're gonna tear gas you right back. Like,
it's like, you know, you're bleeding out to death. Do you want medical attention? No, I'll just die. Okay. And it's the Antifa people as well. I mean, they're the biggest wusses there are, because not only do they complain, they do it so they'll get tear gas. They can say, oh, so you can see people crying.
Yeah, they're like the soccer penalty people who are like, oh my God.
But then they call in the medics,
right?
Which are these you know, other freaking gender studies people who run over as little doctors and have milk and pour milk on them and dress the wounds, etc. And they have their attorneys, all the lawyers. Yeah, I'm a lawyer. I'm in the press. Oh.
You know, they're actually smart to have lawyers on call, and this is one reason they don't get in as much trouble as the Trump people do, because they have, like, when they go and bother Tucker Carlson's family in his house, their lawyers have told them how far to go and where to stop so that they can't really get in trouble.
Maybe, Alice, but a lot of the legal dream team are dudes not in law school who are watching the cops and monitoring them.
I mean, yeah, but the left, Antifa and these people and the DSA, they do keep lawyers on call, which the right could stand to do. Do you know how many people there were on Twitter talking about how there was this guy that was just recently arrested because he was like, he had tweeted like, yeah, I just got interviewed by the FBI, I think I'm all clear, like, and then he was arrested the next week. Like, do you not know not to talk to the FBI? They're so stupid. Antifa like clams up and calls their lawyers because they have lawyers and they have like the bailout fund people and all that
you
stuff.
Insurgent, Alice. Don't talk
but
to
I'm
the
saying
feds.
the right.
Destroy your cell phone, says Alice Shattuck.
No, don't destroy yourself. Don't destroy evidence.
Go
First
underground,
of all,
says Alice.
Don't take your cell phone
Once
with
a
your
nice girl from
geolocation into the
Alice,
Senate
maybe we don't
when you're
give terrorism
storming
tips right up front. Maybe that's the 1570 podcast. I'm going to try to be
You know
more
what,
law-abiding.
You know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Trump...
To make a proper Molotov cocktail, use kerosene. Thank
No,
you, Alice Shattuck.
no.
That's great. I like
I'm just
Antifa
saying-
Alice. Antifa Alice t-shirts start this week. Speaking of that,
I'm not making the Antifa
yes,
Alice.
you are. Yeah, you are Antifa Alice. I'll make them with your likeness.
I'm not.
I'll
I'm
make
not.
them-
You stole that from Callahan anyway.
Whoever you are.
That's,
What do you
he has
mean?
Antifa Dave.
I made up Antifa Dave.
Okay, well, but that's a character on the Callahan show. It's not on...
Copyright Tom Shattuck,
No,
Alice. Yes.
I'm not Antifa Alice.
Yes,
That's
you are.
wrong. No.
And if you want to make the image out there, I'm happy to take whatever submissions you have. So here's the rest of the.
I'm not putting it on our site. Antifa Alice is made
Jake,
up.
I will start a satellite pirate site.
I got shot in the face. Where are they? I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
Any chance I could get you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know this is like the sacredest place.
I know. Hey.
Hey, we will. I'm just making sure nobody disrespects the place. Don't worry about that. The guy says a guy losing a pint of blood every 10 seconds.
I mean...
What a crazy world.
Yeah, it's weird. But, yeah, I mean, I think that they could stand to learn some things from left-wing activists, don't you? In terms of how they handle themselves.
I would say,
like
from
live
now on,
streaming.
Maybe we stand by and stand down when there's an election and it's over. For now on, that's where I'd start.
Sure, but if you're gonna storm the Capitol, maybe don't live stream yourself with your face saying that you're storming the Capitol with your name.
Thank you, Patty Hearst. Everybody, just wear a headgear from now on, like my wife does apparently when she goes and throws bottles of frozen urine at the police.
I don't throw bottles.
I'm not so sure
at the
anymore.
police.
But the thing is, that there's nobody sane now in this situation. There's nobody sane in Washington D.C. Chuck Todd today had Mayor Bowser on,
God.
and so he's asking about the future. What's it look like for D.C.?
How long are we going to be living in a Washington, D.C. that feels like an armed camp? I mean, how long are we going to have to live this way? Because I assume these threats don't go away on January 20th.
Great question. How long are we going to have an encampment here? How long is a strong military presence going to be here? That's a very good question. Mm-hmm. Mayor of the city, of the District of Columbia, how long?
I think the question is a bigger question, Chuck. It is, how serious is our country going to take domestic white extremism?
Great. Okay. Thanks for answering the question. Yep. Thank you. You know, Mystic pizzas and blue apricot skies and down the wormhole. One pill makes you larger, one pill makes you small, and the one then mother. Why is everybody psychotic? Why is everybody go on a trip? Just answer the question.
Right.
When he says how long, Mayor, give him a number. We don't have to veer off into a new woke conspiracy here to joining the chorus of other crazy people. This is crazy.
As I like
this
to
guy,
say, crazy.
He is not the craziest person in Washington, D.C.
As I like to say, crazy is not just Beyonce's husband.
Well said. Well said. I've gotten about 10 emails now asking where those T-shirts are, Alice.
Okay. Your graphic designer has been
I know you're
slacking.
busy making IEDs in case the state police come by. My goodness, what happened to you? You're one of them now. Oh, my God. I never thought it would happen to my own wife.
2 more hogs got the fever.
My wife is one of them. Oh, you've been radicalized. Oh, where do we start? Okay. I have a compliment for Joe Biden today, by the way, Alice.
Okay.
A good thing to say about him.
Okay.
But first, he was introducing his Alondra Nelson, who's the Deputy Science Director, something. What is her exact title? She's Deputy Science Policy Chief. He introduced her yesterday. He's made that a cabinet position, which I believe that means it has to be confirmed.
Okay, yeah.
And just to continue with the... Okay, so once again, she is the Alondra Nelson, Deputy Science Policy Chief. That's good. Science Policy Chief.
Mm-hmm.
She's the deputy.
Okay.
All right, Alondra. What are our priorities in the administration?
The COVID-19 crisis has inflicted extraordinary suffering, but it has also held up a mirror to our society, reflecting in its deadly wake resource gaps and medical disparities, the inequality we've allowed to calcify. As a Black woman researcher, I am keenly aware of those who are missing from these rooms.
Great. Believe the woke. Is what it is now. It's no longer believe the science. It's believe the woke.
Yeah.
And wokeness runs through everything. Biden today, though, first of all, I guess this was really yesterday when he did this stuff, I think. He did not look good. He did not sound good. You see this video of him after he's done talking, shuffling over to the table to grab his folder with 2 hands as he carefully does. Then he looks up, doesn't know where he is.
Oh, God.
Panics, looks around more, hears something, and is guided over. So maybe somebody uses one of those laser pointers you put on the wall to let the cat jump after it. Laser pointer, and he goes and he shuffles off and finally gets it. But he was not okay. This is essentially how his voice sounded for the day.
2 of the most extraordinary least known departments, especially the last 4 years.
Extraordinary least, fine. But he did say something that I think was good.
Okay.
This is
I'm scared.
very
now.
vague. No.
Okay. This is a real compliment.
This is real. This
Okay.
is vague. This is probably empty. Simply rhetoric. Probably just a anodyne throwaway thing. Okay. But if it is not, then I am encouraged.
When I announced I would not run in 2015, at the time I said I only one regret. And Rose Garden asked me if I had any regrets. I said I'd won, but I wouldn't get to be the president to preside over cancer.
He means provide over a cure for cancer or
right,
the end
the
of cancer.
cancer moonshot stuff.
To help him along.
Whatever, yeah.
As we know it. Well, as God willing, the 20th of this month, in a couple days, as president, I'm going to do everything I can to get that done. It's going to be a priority for me and for Kamala, and it's a signature issue for Jill as First Lady.
If you want to do the cancer moonshot, Operation Warp Speed of cancer,
right.
And while we're throwing trillions around anyway off of money we don't have, if you want to do it on cancer and try to make some progress there, incentivize companies, incentivize doctors while we're burning money, then let's do it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Cancer is a bastard, something that we should be able to unite about.
Yeah, cancer sucks.
Correct. Even Antifa. hates cancer. So I'm all for it. Joe Biden, good. God bless. Godspeed. Let's do it. I'm all for it. Cancer is just blows, as we know. Another thing happening is, and this guy Jacob Soboroff, who was for MSNBC, is just thrilled because there's an IG report out about the kids in cages stuff.
Okay.
And so the left is getting excited because they may have an opportunity to jail everybody involved in the Trump administration, according to Trump himself, but, anybody else.
I think what's most critical about this Department of Justice Inspector General report is that it is now a roadmap for potential future prosecutions, Alicia, of members of the Trump administration under an incoming Biden-Harris administration. And it was the President
Stephen Miller, Hope Hicks, all go get them, hunt them down.
Lock them
exactly,
up.
Hunt them all down.
elect himself who called this policy criminal in the debate with our
now the 2014 kids in cages.
Yeah, that wasn't criminal.
No.
very own Kristen Walker.
Responding to the Inspector General report, former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein said family separations were, quote, a failed policy that never should have been proposed or implemented. I mean, Jacob, what do you make of that?
Well, sure, it's nice of him to say that now. He didn't say it when, as the report details, he was in meetings in the earliest days talking about this with border prosecutors and
Just
others who were raising
orders is
objections to it. Nor did he say that, according to this report, when he was hanging out with Attorney General Sessions, perhaps the greatest cheerleader of the policy, or speaking with Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen.
Yes, they're all going to jail. Doesn't matter. The thing is this, is that the Trump administration decided to arrest people who were crossing the border illegally. Because it's our border, and there are border stations where you can cross. But if you're crossing the border illegally, if you're sneaking across the border, then you get apprehended. That is the law. That is the law in most countries. You can't just walk right in.
Have you ever tried to cross the Canadian border without going through the border checkpoint?
They're humorless. No, right, exactly.
They're not. They don't just let you waltz in anywhere.
And due to a lawsuit. So that is the law. That is Trump in the executive branch following a law.
Right.
Now, there was also a court finding that said that you can't put kids in with adults in holding areas, in cells, or where it is.
Especially if, as was the case in many of these cases, you can't prove that they're actually with their parents when they're coming across, because they're coming across with people who may or may not be any relation to them at all. So you have to have some kind of documentation of who the heck people are and that they actually have the right to be with these kids, because it's a liability for the government if you put them in with some coyote smuggler from the border who turns out to injure them in some way.
When Alice Shattuck has her 4 kids with her in the caravan, and this is very likely, and throws a Molotov cocktail through the IRS building and explodes, they arrest Alice and put her in a cell. The kids can't go in the cell. Alice gets held somewhere where adult terrorists are. The kids have to go somewhere else. That's what happens. Now, should the Trump administration have done it, knowing that this would happen, with some of them saying, well, this will be a big deterrent? Probably separating kids from families is a bad idea. Optically, it's a bad idea. And it seems like an awful, horrible thing to happen to them. But it's a longer conversation, and that conversation belongs in the legislature, which is a room full of complete pussies. Unless there's a guy wearing antlers who once in a while probably makes more sense than those cowards. So this, and the country needs to come to grips with this. This is a big conversation.
Right.
This is about legislation. Lawmakers need to make the laws, but they're afraid to. They would just rather have the tattered pieces of law to use for their political advantage. And they did. And they took all sorts of great pictures at these little facilities, the Democrats did.
Yeah,
and
AOC
when it
crying
happens,
at the border.
And it's going to happen now, probably in a couple months, as more caravans make its way up to the United States, and the kids are going to be separated, or there'll be something else that's going to seem very inhumane, and Amnesty International is going to say that we're treating kids horribly, and the UN's going to condemn it, and those good lefties who took all their selfies will not go back down there, and those people who went on their social media and Facebook and all that stuff and saying what a bastard Trump was, this is the new internment camps, will be completely silent, because they're stupid. It's always been intellectually dishonest, and if not just lazy, and there's no utility in it for Democrats to give a damn about the
Right.
kids when
If
it's
they
Biden doing it.
If they actually cared to pass comprehensive immigration reform, Trump's presidency was probably an awesome opportunity to do it because there was so much pushback about the scenes at the border and everything. If they actually wanted to change the laws, to change how things are handled at the border, they had every opportunity to do that. And you could easily have gotten Republicans on board because Republicans didn't want to have to deal with these scenes and all the reporters down there and everything either. Nobody liked this.
Right.
Nobody enjoyed having this be the optics of the situation. But Democrats were much more concerned with the optics continuing to be bad for Trump and Republicans than they were with actually solving the problem. And now they're not going to want to solve the problem because Biden will be president, so they're not going to want to have to admit that there's a problem. So, you know, it's going to be back to pretending we don't have a border and nobody's trying to cross and there's no cages and everything else. I mean, like, it got so bad in 2014 that they had to notice that there was a crisis of minors at the border in the Obama administration. But
who had to notice? Nobody noticed but Breitbart and conservatives.
Well, I mean, there were like mayors of towns. Do you remember? I forget which town it was in Massachusetts. Was it like Chelsea or Everett?
Because we were sending them up here.
Because they were sending them up here, and the municipal governments were saying, "What the heck? We cannot afford to have all these kids in our schools."
Right,
and in
some
our
of the kids
foster
were
care
some of the
systems.
kids in high school were 27 years old,
And
which
like,
is also a problem.
you're just sending us all these people, and you're saying that they're teenagers, and we have a responsibility to care for them, and they have no family, they have nowhere to stay. Like, what are we supposed to do here? And like, the Obama administration was like, well, crisis at the border, nothing we can do, you know. And now you have Biden promising to make people citizens on the first day in office, and I just like. The kicking of the can on this issue is so annoying. And this is, I mean, frankly, if Congress had handled this during the Obama years, I don't think Trump would have been elected because it's such an opportunity for a populist to come in there. Because every normal human being agrees that you can't just have a non-border, like people can just waltz in willy-nilly with 0 checkpoints or anything. Like, every normal person knows that you need a system where you process people coming into the country. And every politician is completely invested in making sure that absolutely does not happen.
Right, because we suck. Our Congress people suck. Our lawmakers suck.
On both
they should
sides.
be punished.
On both sides. And it's been going on since Reagan. It's been going on for decades. That was the last time we had a big immigration bill. And like, it just keeps happening. They just don't want to be responsible for dealing with it. It's so annoying.
You could have done it during Trump easily. Give the guy his wall, pretend Mexico paid for it, and do an amnesty and 5 million people. Whatever it is.
Yeah, Trump would have signed any deal.
Yes.
Because he would have wanted, he came in wanting to work with Democrats. This was one of the knocks Republicans had with him. This is how, at the beginning, he managed to get the, prison reform done, the criminal justice reform done. To some extent, I know it didn't go as far as some people wanted, but, like, imagine if Democrats, instead of acting like hysterical chickens with their heads cut off for 4 years, had actually tried to work with Trump. I mean, you'd have some more angry Republicans. I'm sure you'd see a lot more of this kind of like budget hawkishness in the Republican Party and like annoyance with Trump. But you could have had a moderate Trump, but you blew up that chance by acting like he was Hitler for 4 years. So congratulations to you.
You not only have you hired crazy people, but they're mediocre and crazy.
Yeah.
And those are our reps in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and the sort of panic porn of constantly acting like the Third Reich is imminent created the Trump idiocy that you have today, where he's this, like, where he embraces this fringy stuff. Because Trump's the person that just wants people to like him and wants good press and whatever. So, like, if they had come in and acted like Trump was normal, but no, never normalize, don't normalize, wear a pink hat and a handmade tail robe and stuff, and
which were the antlers of 2017.
Yeah, but Trump's not the handmade tail stuff. Like, Trump's not socially conservative. Are you kidding me? That was never, like, even on the table. And, like, watch the revisionism in the next few years, because by the time we get to the 2024 election, Trump is going to have been, like, not that bad, really, and, like, all the other Republicans are, like, 5,000 times worse. They're already starting with the, like, well, we have to look out because next time we could get a competent Trump. Like...
Right. So I want to veer positive again, Alice, because Michael Strahan actually had a great. He's with NBC, does a bunch of stuff, I think, with NBC, whatever. Former football player with the New York Giants, I believe.
Was he on Dancing with the Stars?
I don't know, Ellis. I don't know.
Just kidding. I'm
a masculine, strong alpha, Ellis.
You watched Sean Spicer with me on Dancing with the Stars.
Well, that was different. That was making a point. So Strahan had on Jacob Blake.
Okay.
And Jacob Blake also was used as inspiration for burning and looting and how terrible the police are. And Strahan interviews him one-on-one. And the cops always contended that Jacob Blake had a weapon. Blake said he didn't have a weapon. Cops said, yes, he had a weapon.
Yeah.
And let's just listen to some of the interview.
Before the cop grabbed you, did they say anything to you?
No. Not at all.
According to the Wisconsin Criminal Investigation Report, Officer Shesky recalled saying, quote, "Let's talk about this." He said Blake put his child in the car and turned to face him. Shesky said he then grabbed Blake's arm to put him under arrest and told Blake that he had a warrant. They didn't say why they were there?
Yeah, okay.
They didn't say anything to me.
Did they tell you that they had a warrant for your arrest?
No.
Some sort of struggle follows. Police believe Blake is reaching for a weapon more than once. Blake denies this. Police deploy a taser multiple times. Blake pulls the taser prongs out of his skin. Officer Shesky and Blake end up in a physical altercation on the ground. We see you walk away from the officers after they try to grab you.
I'm rattled. You know, I realized I had dropped my knife.
What? Wait a second.
He didn't have a weapon, though, I thought.
What is he, whittling?
A little pocket knife. So I picked it up after I got off of him because they tased me and I fell on top of him.
With an open knife in hand that Blake says fell out of his pocket, he walks around the front of the vehicle towards the driver's side door.
So then he goes in.
So his open knife fell out of his pocket, and he just coincidentally, and he picked it up. So he's holding the knife just not because he was planning to stab anyone with it.
Right.
But
And Strahan did put the screws to him and say, you understand how, what you're saying doesn't quell or whatever. And so good for Strahan. But I didn't have a knife. Well, I dropped my knife, and it probably was a mistake to pick it up. Well, okay, I think maybe Jacob Blake has a credibility problem. That said, the knife was not huge. It was a little more ominous than a pocket knife, but it wasn't a big Rambo knife. But so it is nice to have a little bit of truth in these things, and plus believe all women as well. Remember what Jacob Blake just got done doing when he was there. All right, Alice. I had an epiphany today.
Okay.
I took a long drive today. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, found a hidden treasure on the curb, which I'm going to unveil tomorrow in this studio. We'll put it on camera.
Can I see it before we unveil
Negative.
it?
Negative.
I'm scared.
You can't handle it. Nope. No, I don't want you to fashion it into a weapon the next time you go attack a government building. So, Chuck Todd had Fauci on again.
Okay.
And the last time he had Fauci, 2 weeks ago, we played the audio. And it was interesting there because Fauci came off as a guy who just didn't know anything. And last time it was, what was the thing that it was? It was, about why the vaccines weren't getting out or something. And he said he wasn't sure, but he talked to somebody and it was all set now. And Chuck Todd does not follow up on questions. Fauci has afforded so much. But listen to this. This is crucial now. There's another strain coming, and then another strain, and it's about to kill us. And these vaccines are a matter of life and death.
Right.
Operation Warp Speed got us all these vaccines. These companies now are all getting greenlit. Bang! This is fantastic. There's a problem with the distribution. The CDC guidance is what the moron in New York used to refuse people the vaccine and just throw them away. I'm here in Massachusetts as well.
Yep, they're throwing them out. Meanwhile, West Virginia, they took a bunch of heat because they refused to be a part of the federal distribution program, has the highest per capita vaccination rate in the country right now. West Virginia. Who knew?
So the CDC guidance is based on, this all comes out of a certain famous epidemiologist named Dr. Anthony Fauci. He's in charge of this whole thing is his baby. This is the guy, as is Oppenheimer was to the Manhattan Project. Fauci is to fixing coronavirus, getting vaccines out.
There was this announcement. President-elect Biden calls for releasing all of the stockpile. The Trump administration agrees, and all of a sudden there's no stockpile. Was this a miscommunication? Was this a bigger error? What is the explanation?
So, by the way, Chuck Todd building in 2 excuses for him, by the way.
Yeah. Which one of these excuses is it?
Which one of these things that isn't your fault is it?
You know, I'm not exactly sure, Chuck, but I tried and I think successfully sorted that out. I had a conversation.
I'm not sure what it was, but I sorted it out. It's all fixed, Chuck.
With General Perna last night and again this morning. And I think there was just a misunderstanding. In the beginning, when it wasn't quite clear about what the Cadence is.
Cadence is here now. Introducing Cadence. So what happened with all the millions of vaccines that should have been delivered to people sticking in arms? Remember how important that is to save lives?
Get the vaccines in the arms.
Crucial. Life and death, this is what you're here for. I'm not sure, but we figured it out. You know, if you think about it, the Cadence, this new concept, it's not that we're incompetent, complete screw-ups who don't know how to do things, especially the thing that we're getting paid here for.
Yeah, there's like a 50-page web form to sign up to get the vaccine in New York. And then, like, if you go to Israel, so that they don't, like, if they have a batch of vaccines that is about to go bad, they're, like, calling in people off the street. They're like, yeah, what's your name? Cool, we'll vaccinate you. Like,
they're not smart enough in Israel to have Cadence like we have.
Yeah, we have
Cadence. It of the rolling out of doses would be. There was a lot of caution. So they wanted to make sure that everyone who got a first dose got a second dose on time. So when doses were released, an equal amount was kept back to make sure that if there was any glitches in the supply flow, that the people who got their first doses would clearly get their second doses. After a couple of cycles, when it became clear that the cadence of the flow of doses was really going to be consistent and reliable, the decision was made, instead of just giving enough for the first dose and holding back for the second dose, that as soon as they got the dose...
The question was about what happened to the stockpile and the execution of vaccines. We are now over the river and through the woods. We have gone through Narnia. Fauci is taking us now into Cadence world. And we're so far from the question being answered. This guy is a rambling, incompetent bureaucrat.
This is available. They would.
That said, if I go on the social media tomorrow and say Fauci sucks, I'll have reputable people in government and in media using the word cadence, because supposedly that's a thing now.
Give it, because now they would have confidence that the next amount they would get, they'd have enough at least to give everybody the second dose, and then some to give the first dose. So that's all it was a sort of, as you went a few weeks into it, the confidence that you would have doses to give the second dose made people say, you know, we don't have to hold back any doses because the flow is consistent. Literally, that's just what we had a discussion of, as well as last night. So I think that's what the confusion was about. So hopefully that's clarified now.
Oh, well, you know what? You didn't tell us about the cadence before. You didn't tell us about that. You told us about the people, first responders, and the people, the front-facing, COVID-facing people would get it first, and then this person would get it first, and then add in some social justice. That was a non-answer. Here's Chuck Todd's follow-up.
All right, so you oversee vaccine creation, so I'm curious on the manufacturing aspect of things. The President-elect Biden has promised to invoke the DPA.
There goes that. The cadence answer is done. Bye-bye. You can go. You can go now. Yeah,
that's
fine.
Answered.
That didn't. In other words, how did you screw this up? There was no. It was just like after Grady Little coughed up the game in 2003 for the Red Sox in the ALCS against the Yankees, and the next day they said to him, even though he had screwed up horribly, "How did you screw this up?" And he said, "Well, I don't think I screwed up. I don't understand. You didn't notice the cadence of the hitters." Apparently. Crazy. So now this is Chuck Todd now moves right along, even though he gave an unsatisfactory answer to what is a life and death question. He moves right along to the DPA, the Defense Production Act, which is where you would deem that that a company refocus or retool or recalibrate what it does to do stuff. So the sweater company now makes masks, in other words.
Right.
This is what this is. This is making Ford make tanks in World War II, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got that quite right, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
But that's
we
what
know
it does.
What you mean. Yep.
Right. So now Chuck Todd is asking Fauci about the DPA. Is it time to use the DPA?
Defense Production Act on the vaccine manufacturing process. Will that help in the short term, or is that something that we won't see the benefits of that until the summer?
Well, I can tell you one thing that's clear is that the issue of getting 100 million doses in the first 100 days is absolutely a doable thing. What the president-elect is going to do.
Now, hold on. Before he goes to what the president-elect is going to do, we didn't use the DPA because Operation Warp Speed is working. We dangled money in front of the drug makers to say, hey, drop everything else. Here's an incentive and do it. And now we've got the damn vaccine 2 years before we ever thought we'd have it, which is a miracle. Which is an absolute miracle. So what are we going to retool the drug makers to do? Johnson & Johnson, stop working on the vaccine for COVID and work on the vaccine for COVID. We order you. They're already doing it. They're all already doing it.
And we already have priority, by the way, because we pay more for it than other countries do. Like the EU has gone to the back of the line and isn't getting their shipments of the amounts that they want because they negotiated a deal where they could get a lower price if they could be lower priority. So I know everybody likes to complain that we pay more for our healthcare in the U.S., but we also get more of it. So, if you want to be at the back of the line for the vaccine with the people in the EU paying less, then you can feel free to move to Europe and get that deal. But right here, we're paying more and we're getting all the vaccine here. The problem is that our incompetent bureaucrats at the state level in a lot of the states where there's a lot of COVID aren't giving the shot to people. They're holding people up in a bureaucracy of trying to make sure no one skips the line to get the shot. And so they're preventing people from actually getting it, and they're actually throwing doses out. To his credit, Cuomo finally pivoted and said, no, we don't actually want you throwing the vaccine out. Please don't do that. We're not going to fine you $1 million and shut down your healthcare facility if you give someone a shot who's not at the right level of vaccine priority. Right.
And so Fauci answering this now, kind of skirts the Defense Production Act part of it and goes right into Biden.
Is where it need be to invoke the DPA to get the kinds of things we need, whatever they may be they tests, be they vaccines.
So in other words, Biden will do this where it's needed.
Well, didn't Trump already do it where it's needed
earlier
last year?
But the thing is that the guy who decides where it's needed
is you.
is Fauci.
That's what I mean.
Right, exactly. It's you. Yes. And so if he's got new ideas for the Biden administration, he could use them for the Trump administration. He's the guy.
What have you. In other words, to just not be hesitant to use whatever mechanisms we can to get everything on track and in the flow that he predicts. But the feasibility of his goal is absolutely clear. There's no doubt about that can be done.
Well, that's because we're already on track to do it by that date.
Right.
Like, the Trump administration is already doing that. So it's like, I just don't understand this. It's the same thing as like the cages at the border stuff. It's like the idea that there's continuity between the government policies from one administration to the next, and they're basically doing the same stuff in the Trump administration that the Obama administration would have done or that the Biden administration will do in a few months is like, that's lost on everybody. They're all the same in Washington, D.C.
Right.
They're all doing the same
Stupid media
things.
is saying, since Trump sucks at vaccines, what's Biden going to do? But Fauci knows that nothing's going to change, so he's giving him an answer regardless. Here's Chuck Todd's follow-up.
The guidelines that various state and local authorities are using to distribute the vaccine.
In other words, he's moved right on. That's it. That's fine.
That's good.
Clearly, they were a bit too strict if we're finding ourselves throwing away vaccine. Have we...
Now, remember, Chuck, it's not the guidelines. It's Fauci's guidelines.
Right.
So you can direct this at him if you'd like to.
Do you feel as if that has changed enough so that we're not going to be throwing away vaccine?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the things that's clear is that the CDC came out on the basis of the recommendations from the ACIP about different groups, 1A, 1B, 1C, as recommendations and guidelines not real restrictions. And what happened is that maybe understandably, the states...
Was there anybody, any expert in epidemiology and public health
communicated?
Who could have ironed out any problems like this rather than, after the complete screw-up happens? Is there any way he could have found a way to fix the plane before it crashed into the ground?
Anybody who, say, talks to Cuomo on a regular basis and has kind of a buddy-buddy
De Niro and
relation.
Pesci.
Yeah, they're De Niro and Pesci. Any kind of buddy-buddy relationship with the governor of New York who could have filled him in on this in the last few months?
And the local authorities were really very strictly adhering to that, where right now what the CDC is saying, those are guidelines. You got to loosen them up, be less rigid about it. And the one thing you don't want is that if you have vaccine left over, then just move on to the next group. It's kind of like if you...
Could have told us that a few months ago, Tony.
Yeah.
It would have been good.
Maybe another Italian New Yorker who could have used this advice a little while back.
You want to use the metaphor of when, you're boarding a plane, everybody gets on the group one, and if not everybody gets on, you open up group two, but group one can still go on. You just want a steady flow. You don't want to hold back. You want to not essentially overshoot nor undershoot, but just let the flow keep going. I think, Chuck, that's going to work well looking forward.
Jeez, incredible. You don't want to hold back. So my memo about holding back, dismissed. That's before we had Cadence involved.
How close are we on Johnson & Johnson and the AstraZeneca vaccines?
Chuck Todd, of course, moves right on. Okay, Dr. Fauci, that's good.
Perfect, great.
Can't be your fault. How close are we on the Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca vaccines is the question. I expect a number.
Soon, Chuck.
Oh, well then, okay.
Cool.
We're soon close. We'll get it at soon o'clock. So just go ahead, be at the place, and we'll have it at soon. Soon 30.
We're going to be meeting with the authorities on that. They have a lot of events meaning infections within the context of...
Why haven't you, the guy in charge of this, told us a time yet? When? We need to know when, because
months,
people are dying
years.
every day. I keep getting told that people are dying every day. I don't want months. We're about to get something from him, Elsa, but I want a day. I want to know. Next Thursday at 4 o'clock. I realize that's hard to know. You'd have to be an extremely celebrated professional who's been in Washington 50 years to know something like this.
The trial. So their data, I think, very soon, I would imagine within a period of a week or so, or at the most a couple of weeks, they're going to be getting their data together and showing it to the FDA.
Touchdown says, wow. A week or so. Soon, a week or so. Maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but don't they already have the AstraZeneca vaccine in Europe?
It doesn't even matter because, okay, that's fine. But we're told that these many people are dying every day, so I know that a week or so, couple of weeks.
And obviously they're going to have to get their data and safety monitoring board to look at it to see if
that involves more of my hack friends, and that's going to mean that Jesus, forget a couple of weeks.
It is appropriate to start, essentially putting the package together to get an emergency use authorization. But we're weeks away, not months away for sure.
We're weeks away. Okay, so weeks means 2 to 60, not months away. Remember, we were 2 weeks. We'd have to lock down for 2 weeks, 3 months ago.
Yeah,
weeks away.
3 months ago.
You know what? You don't have to.
Well, also, where was all this when Trump was saying in early November that we were weeks away from a vaccine, and they were like, "Oh no, he'd need a miracle." That's ridiculous.
Irresponsible.
Did anybody ask Anthony Fauci how far away we were from the vaccine at that point in time?
No. Chuck Todd, I assume he will have a follow-up.
What's your level of concern about this new variant that clearly...
new strain, new variant he's talking about. Can we guess a level of concern for Fauci? Can we guess? Is he not concerned or very concerned?
Very concerned.
And why would he be very concerned?
Because
if you have a new strain,
Fauci can go on TV more.
Correct.
A lot of folks are concerned it's certainly more contagious.
Yeah. Well, we're taking it really very seriously, Chuck. You don't want people to panic, but you have to look at it from a certain standpoint. Yes, there's...
You don't want people to panic, but I'm about to scare the shit out of you, so get ready.
No doubt. When you look at what the Brits And now remember, people need to realize there's more than one mutant strain. There's one from the UK that's essentially dominated. That's the one that is seen in the United States. There's another more ominous one that's in South Africa and Brazil.
So I'm going to be around for a long time, is what I'm saying to you.
We're looking at all of them very, very carefully. To determine, I mean, obviously the Brits have...
There's another one in Brazil, so just in case you thought this bailout was going to save your restaurant, you might as well just demolition the building today because you're effed. Sell the boat, sell the house, because we've got 3 more waves of us crushing your livelihood.
Made it very clear that it's more contagious. They say that it isn't more virulent, but, we got to be careful because the more cases you get...
we got to be careful, so that means we got to lock down. I mean, my life in D.C., in Georgetown, and where I go, my life's not going to change at all.
Oh, his life is better than it's ever been.
Right.
He's going on every cable news show.
You gotta be
traveling
careful.
the world. He's an international celebrity. He's the man of the year. He's everywhere.
Right, which
Fauci's
means
having an awesome year.
We got to be careful, which means that the U.S. Navy is going to be tracking down surfers, in Huntington Beach, California again very soon because this moron, incompetent bureaucrats, we got to be careful. It's 1 week. I'm not sure. Cadence,
Even though on a one-to-one basis, it's not more virulent, meaning it doesn't make you more sick or more likely to die, just by numbers alone, the more cases you have, the more hospitalizations you're going to have, and the more hospitalizations you have, the more deaths you're going to have. The thing we really want to look at carefully...
PPE, N95, social distancing, washing hands, ventilators as well.
I think we're done with ventilators.
Well,
This
is the follow-up album of last year's album. We'll go through the whole thing again, just a couple of weeks, 2 weeks to crush the peak. What was that? 2 weeks to whatever.
Slow the spread, flatten the curve.
Does that mutation lessen the impact of the vaccine?
Here, Chuck. Yeah, definitely. Yep. Yes, indeed. Everything is processed, validated immediately through my mind. What you say, I don't question anything at all that you say. Of course, 49% of everything you've said has been totally wrong, but just go ahead, just validate it right through me. Yes, I'll continue to nod.
And if it does, Chuck, then we're going to have to make some modifications. But
modifications.
Good. Lucky us.
Jesus, your kids are going to have to, not only do remote learning, but they're going to have to do remote learning now. We've decided from Madagascar, and that's it.
So we talked on your other podcast, The Point of Things. We talked to your friend George yesterday, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm optimistic. Stuff's going to go back to normal. It's going to be great. The 1918 flu was followed by the Roaring '20s," and I wish I shared that optimism.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, but I hear these people talk, and my heart just sinks. They just want to keep everything terrible forever.
Yes.
They really do.
Yes.
They really do. It's so depressing.
You put pointy-headed bureaucrats in charge, and they love this. They love this power. It's such a great feeling.
We're all over that. We're looking at that really very carefully.
So and this time, Chuck Todd does follow up. This is his first and only follow-up question of the entire interview because he's excited because Fauci said this is a new strain, which means there's going to be more things that we have to do.
Is there a point with this variant that you think there's going to be new restrictions?
Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say yes.
Whether advice that says double mask.
Double mask is here. It's time. Mark the time. 5:49 p.m. Sunday, January 17th. Double mask. The double mask movement is on.
I did hear about that even sooner. During the campaign,
I was saying it as a joke 6 months ago.
Biden was wearing 2 masks during the campaign, and Romney was wearing 2 masks when they accosted him on the plane.
Are we going to have to double mask? Please say yes. Please tell me what we can do to burden ourselves, big government. Please tell me. Please tell me. Hold my hand more and tell me what to do that hurts me a little bit so I really feel the pain, so it's real to me.
Or additional lockdowns? Are we close to any of those?
Please tell me it's one of those. Please tell me it's one of those
ideas.
Well, I think one of the things we've got to do, Chuck, and maybe the silver lining, if you want to call that, is that when you have a variant that's really very, very different in the sense of it's more contagious, it tells you to do 2 things. One, double down on the public health measures that we've been talking about all the time.
How do you like that, businesses? Mm-hmm. Double down on what you're doing all the time. That guy is incompetent. He is incompetent. Nobody in Washington, D.C. is very bright. I'm sorry about this. These are dumbs. Our leadership are dumb. This guy is dumb. He's an incompetent. There'd be no way in any other position where somebody would keep him on. You know, he's the captain of the ship, and he keeps hitting an iceberg and then another yacht, and then he crushes a pod of whales, and then the ship suddenly is listing, and then we're going in reverse, and now we're suddenly in, and now we're on a beach somewhere, and now everybody's like, okay, so what are the next things? It's like the cadence has changed. Oh, okay. All right, because it seems like we've just parked this on a bus full of nuns, crossing a canal and a bridge here. But okay, if it's cadence, that's fine. That's fine. We have a crying child, Alice, that we need to attend to.
So this was the Burn Barrel Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Burn Barrel Pod, Facebook.com/Burn Barrel Podcast. You can send us an email at burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. You can check out our YouTube channel. You can comment on there and we'll talk back to you. You can like the videos. You can subscribe so you can always hear the latest.
Thank you for the knee stuff, by the way. My knee is feeling 59% better. Thank you. That's all you. We'll have an email tomorrow.